Welcome back to Beyond the Box with Emma. Today we are diving into a subject that touches both the head and the heart, business growth. But here's the twist. We're looking at it through the eyes of someone who has lived neurodiversity both at work and at home. Our guest today is Yvette Roland, has built a career helping companies grow, leading national sales teams, coaching leaders and shaping strategies. But there's also the mom of young adults on the spectrum. That means she's been on two journeys at once, guiding businesses to thrive on one hand, while also guiding her children to thrive. And the question we are asking today is, what can business leaders and parents learn from the way the neurodivergent minds see the world? Yvette, welcome. We're so honored to have you here today with us.
Thank you so very much for inviting me, and I'm excited to share my viewpoints.
That's awesome. Let's dive straight into it.
Okay.
What does neurodiversity mean to you?
You know, Emma, so I've got two children that are both on the spectrum, and I think when I learned about what the spectrum is, that's when things opened up for me. Because you know, when they say it's on the spectrum, you think it's, you see this 180-degree pie chart, and you think your child goes from 0 to 20 degrees, and oh, my child's not that bad. And other children are 180 degrees and they have maybe non-verbal autism. But I actually realized to be on the spectrum, it's actually a 360-degree pie chart. And each one of those slices of pies is a trait that a neurodiverse child has, be it from ADHD to ADD, as I said, autism, OCD. So you have all those traits on that chart and different degrees of severity. And my child might have one or two slices from different sections, and somebody else's child might have more. So when you realize a child is made up, or not just a child, the individual is made up of different slices of the pie and different severities of diversity, then you can help them, you can train them, you can work with them, you can help them grow, and they also in turn help you grow.
Absolutely.
So that's how I see it, and that's how I've, not just at home, but also in the workplace, how I've now managed to focus and deal with people.
I can see I can see how the two worlds meet, because you're talking about the pie charts, which is a business development language, right? But you're also talking about understanding of this spectrum so that you can parent your children better. What an amazing insight. I'm so happy, Yvette, that you are bringing us into this world of the convergence of business and business development or business growth and neurodiversity. You having raised the two children that you've raised, which are now young adults, what are some of the strengths that you looked at as you were seeing in your children and you thought, these are really good qualities that could make great sales teams?
I think the first thing is tenacity, because they have a lot of obstacles at school, obstacles with friends. You as a parent have obstacles, and you just have to put one foot in front of the other. And the same thing comes with business. You just have to be tenacious, you know, and you can't let anything get you down. You just have to learn from an experience and move forward. So I think from my children, I've learned tenacity, and also a different viewpoint. You know, you need to, and I think that's a talent of parents with neurodiverse children. You now see things from a different viewpoint. And that has definitely helped me in business.
So amazing that you talk about tenacity and the different viewpoint, because having coached your children in robotics, those are the qualities I've seen. With Cam, for example, he is focused. He doesn't give up. If he sees a problem in the code, you know, he's an exceptional coder, right? An exceptional programmer. And he would look at this code and say, there have to be another way. And he doesn't quit until he gets it done. And I think if I'm looking back, that's part of some of the qualities that has kind of propelled him to leadership in school, because he was the head boy, if I remember correctly. And with your daughter as well, I hope we still have some of the recordings where she expressed her views about how tech should actually not be looked at as something that's taking people's jobs.
Yes.
So I can go on and
Yes,
talk
yes,
about her perspective was quite unique back then when we were at
Yes.
Music Academy. So it's nice that you're mentioning those two.
Yes.
So just continuing from how you parent, but also
Yes.
how you lead, what surprised you about your children that has changed the way you lead, you lead in teams, the way you lead as a business leader?
You know, the one thing I've picked up with the children, because, as I said earlier, the word, it's in the word diversity. They diverse. So that is something I've picked up, is you can't just motivate people. I mean, I'm in the sales industry, so you know, money motivates salespeople. But that's only one thing. Having neurodiverse children, I've realized different things motivate different people.
It's not just
and
money.
it's not just money.
Interesting.
It's not just money. So, and I think that is where my strength comes in, is because I can see, or I try to see, what is it, the underlying motivator. You know, sometimes I've got a sales colleague who has severe ADHD. We actually joke with her because she is like, she can go on a high and she's so excitable and very
like outgoing kind of traits.
Very outgoing. Yes. And she's the best salesperson, the best networker, and obviously she exceeds target month after month. But with that, after a lot of excitement, she needs time off. So in the old days, when I say the old days, a few years ago, she would take sick days. She would like be off sick for a day or two because she needed that downtime. So now, how does that look to an outsider? That looks, if you look at her history now, it looks like somebody that stays away from work a lot, which is a negative aspect. But being aware of neurodiversity and realizing there's that high and the lows, you now say, okay, why don't you just, so as a manager, give her a day off or give her 2 days off. What do you get out of that? You get a happy worker, you get somebody that's successful, somebody that reaches target, and you're giving her something else other than money that's motivating her. You're giving her that time off. So with having the children that are neurodiverse, you realize you need to look into those little aspects of what motivates, what makes them focus, what makes them learn, and you take that into business. What makes people work harder? What makes them focus better? And you cater to that, and that's what brings success.
That's amazing. The insights that we are bringing here, it's not something I've had before, because generally people think money motivates everybody, which is not the case, right?
So sometimes just time off. And you know what, I focus, you know, obviously sales is sales, and salespeople often think that they're the backbone of a company, but
which they are, right?
The same goes for the admin team and the technical team. Everybody has that view. But you know, I had an admin lady whose father was ill, and she was under so much stress because she felt that she has to work from 8 to 5, and she didn't know where she could fit in taking her dad to hospital.
The doctor.
Giving her an hour off in the morning to do that motivated her for the rest of the day. So you see, so just something small motivates somebody, you know, in the greater scheme of things.
It's essentially just being mindful.
Yes, and I think if you're dealing with neurodiverse people and children, you have to be mindful. You have to be mindful of how you deal with them. You have to be mindful of what you say. So yes, so definitely, like you say, being mindful.
Interesting. Just yesterday, we had Dr. Avisa talks about it. She talked about. She actually advised us to change the way we phrase or we frame neurodiversity, because often you hear things like we have to make accommodation for people on the spectrum. Like in your case, we have to make accommodation for this person who's an exceptional performer, a salesperson who's got ADHD. We have to make accommodation for her to stay off.
Yes.
But that's not it, Dr. Avisa says. She says, we have to facilitate.
That's right.
Yeah.
Brilliant
Make sure she
wording.
gets time off, 2 or 1
Yes.
days off,
Yes.
so that you can get the best
Yeah.
out of that.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I like the way you phrase it.
And sometimes the facilitate, you know, some people want their desk tidy and clean and in order.
Yeah.
And other people, it's a minefield when you look at their desk.
Yeah.
I can often spot the neurodiverse customers as I walk into their offices, because sometimes if their desk looks like mine, there's stuff everywhere. It's like organized chaos. Then you already know, you're dealing with this type of person.
Wow.
And then you get into other offices where, you know, you're presenting to a client and everything is neat and tidy. Okay, then you know, now's not the right time to just drop all your stuff on the desk. It's just going to give them anxiety. And then that affects the way that you sell, you know, so you can't, you know, you need to read the person in front of you.
Sure.
Yes.
This is amazing. So having raised children or being a parent of neurodivergent children has actually benefited you a lot, because you learn to read the room. You understand people better. Because you understand them better, you know how best to engage with them.
100%.
Sure. This is amazing. Okay. Yeah, talking about this, Yvette, makes me wonder, do you guys have training programs that are meant to support neurodivergent individuals? But also, are there training programs for people managers to help them understand how to support subordinates or direct reports that are on the spectrum?
Can I tell you what, that is actually, that's a brilliant question. And can I say, if that's one thing that needs to change in business, that is it. Because the short answer is no. There's no current training programs, but there has to be.
Yeah,
there has to be training programs. I mean, I sit on the Insurance Institute of the Western Cape, and we had a meeting last week, and they want to run. It started off in the meeting. We want to run one training session on mental health in the business environment, and maybe focus a bit on men's health, because we've had Women's Month now. We move on to maybe to the men. And everybody around the table, at the end of that meeting, we now agreed we actually need a series, because there's so many aspects with regards to mental health, with neurodiversity, that you can't just do it in one session. So there needs to be training. There needs to be more of that in the workplace, because you still have a lot of managers that have the old school thinking, and I can get angry and annoyed when people say, "Oh, that's how it's always been done." No. You know,
we have to keep the status quo.
Yes, that's how it's always been done. You know, you need to work from 8 to 5. It's that's the way it's always done. No, things have changed. People have changed. Technology has changed.
The times are different.
Everything is different. So what I learned at school is different to what is going on in the business world now. And there needs to be training like that, because there's strength in understanding how neurodiverse people and customers work, and in that, changing your strategy to cater for that can only bring you success.
This is amazing. So training teams to understand customers and colleagues, but also training people managers to get the best out of their teams.
100%.
Sure, it's amazing the way you put it, and it's nice for the Insurance Institute of the Western Cape to do something like that. And having you with your experience on the board means you can actually champion more activities like that.
Yes, definitely.
Business is always being looked at from business growth, rather, from the perspective of the numbers. You know, how are the numbers going? What are the pie charts saying, right? And the graphs, right? But we should look at it, and some would argue that we should look at it from the lens of what's possible, the possibilities, right? So I'm now curious, because for neurodivergent persons, they see growth differently. And actually, they often see stuff that the rest of us just miss, right? What are some of the unique perspectives that you believe neurodivergent people bring to business growth, or how growth is viewed in business?
So the first thing I want to say is the person that's viewing the growth, so that comes from top management down. you need to be aware of your team's strengths. So you're sitting now with a team of 30 salespeople. Not everybody. Now, salespeople are usually extroverted and they are, they talk.
They're out there.
But you have different personalities. So you need to cater for feedback from different personalities. You can't always sit in the boardroom and go around saying, what do you think? Some people write better. Some people talk better, maybe not in front of their colleagues. So you need to be open to taking information in different ways and then compiling your strategy. And no strategy should ever be set in stone because that's neurodiverse.
Yeah, it should be flexible.
It should be flexible.
Yeah.
And if something is not working, you must be able to reevaluate, redefine, and change. And use your team's strength to reach your goals.
Sure, I love the way you put it, because in business, it's usually, I've been in boardroom meetings.
Yes.
So what do you think?
Yes.
What do you think? But that doesn't work for neurodivergent people.
Yes. And I remember before I knew I had ADHD.
Oh, you have ADHD. Wow, no wonder you're such a brilliant business leader.
Before I had ADHD, I would sit in board meetings and when they or training sessions, and I would listen because let's say a training session, I would be learning, but I'd have my notebook and I would be writing something else. I would be writing plans for tomorrow, strategies of things. So because your brain works overtime, just listening would just be boring. So I would have to do two things at once. So now, if a manager sees that and says, please stop writing, please, so you need to, you understand, you need to understand that some people can't sit still, can't focus. I mean, how often haven't you sat in a meeting and somebody's tapping that pen? And then you sit there and you're like, please stop, please stop, please stop. It's calming to that person, but obviously just
disruptive
to
the other person.
So
maybe education and awareness is important.
Yes.
And that's one of the things we do in our robotics class, because we do have learners that are tapping. We have this. Yeah, we have this. And do you want to fidget? Yes. And often when the students come in the class, we put it on the table.
Yes.
Those who need it will go for it. But to your point, awareness is critical. Because if I don't know that Yvette needs to be writing while she's listening, or you need to be tapping your food while you're listening, and I tell you to stop, I'm losing you altogether and the value that you bring to the meeting.
And also there's a breakdown in a relationship because now as my manager, you're reprimanding me, you don't understand me. So that, it builds a barrier instead of a bridge. I'm talking about the fidget toys when we were looking at primary schools for the children. The school that we chose, in that interview, the principal said, the children work, and I think it was every 20 minutes, they'd open the door and the kids could go for run around and come back. And that was like a light bulb moment, is that, not everybody can just sit and, it's like, oh, I do that, I can't sit still, so you realize, okay, maybe I might have some trait. I might have a few of those pie slices.
Or was it at that moment when you were getting interview from the teachers that you found out that, oh, that's actually me, maybe I need to go get assessed?
Yes. I promise you, when you say you don't know until you know, and because
thanks to our children.
Yes, definitely.
Because they give you an opportunity.
They give you an opportunity.
Sure. This is amazing. Business leaders out there, you can get much more if you become aware of some of these things, and particularly neurodiversity in particular, because your business can be so much better with it and the people that you lead. Yvette, you've been around both the boardroom table but also the dinner table with your family. Is there an overlap there?
Yes, I suppose at the boardroom table you can't cry.
Okay, you can't. It's signal weakness. Weakness.
So at the dinner table, in the family around the family table, when we have dinners or watching TV together, you see how your children, you know, obviously it's a more personal discussion that you can have with your children, but talking, communication is key.
Okay.
Yes. So one thing that we did do always as a family is sit around a table and have dinner. I know a lot of people don't always have the ability to do that, but even if you just have that discussion when you're traveling to work or school, you have to have that quiet time. And today it's very difficult because the children are glued to their devices.
Yeah.
So you have to, and also taking the device away and saying, now we're going to talk is also not,
it's not always, easy.
It's not easy because immediately it's like that manager that tells me don't write in the boardroom, you know. So you need to be careful how you communicate.
Yeah.
So communication is key. So you need to have a set time to communicate with your children and learn and understand what their challenges are. The same way goes for business. Communication is key.
That's right.
You know, communication is key. So you sit around the boardroom. If it's with your colleagues, you're listening to what is discussed. You need to understand the situation, and even more so when you're with a customer. So I think, and I do see it as a problem because things are changing. You know, I'm old school. Put your phone down. I mean,
I'm a parent. I know what that means. Even with the colleagues, I work with youngsters.
Yes. But I mean, I had a discussion with students the other day, and they asked me what barriers do I see to entry into the business place, and I see communication. You know, youngsters are on their phones, they don't look up, they don't communicate clearly, and at the end of the day, your brand is what you're projecting.
Absolutely,
you're projecting your brand.
Yeah.
So, and it becomes more challenging with neurodiverse children that have anxiety. You know, they don't always they battle with
social
interactions and all of that. But again, if we come back to just now, as we said with education, you understand that because maybe that person's strength doesn't lie in communication, it lies in art or in technology. So
essentially, learn how, if I'm hearing you correctly, either as a parent or a business leader, learn how your child communicate best. Learn how your team members communicate best.
100%.
Even better, having that quiet time allow you to listen to even what's not being said.
Yes.
Because communication is more than words.
Yes.
Yeah. So powerful.
You know what? It happened when I say this last month. Two things my daughter mentioned, and you know, like it's just something small, you know, and as parents we sometimes shrug it off. Then that small thing becomes a big thing, and then we say, oh, we should have listened, we should have been, you know, and I've now when she says those small things, I try to stop and ask a question and ask her to talk about it,
acknowledge
more. Acknowledge it. Yes.
And it's so nice that you're bringing that parent perspective, because I'm a parent, and teenagers, it can be such a challenge raising children, and children are different, right? It's a spectrum. Whether they are neurodivergent or not, it's a spectrum. No child is the same. So listening and pausing, because we live in such a fast-paced environment. In business, it could be chasing targets. And time is precious. As a parent, we have to work, we have to do this and that, attend school meetings. You're kind of, if you're a working parent, it's even harder. But pause and listen and communicate. Sure, amazing. Okay. What are some of the lessons that you have learned as a parent that has shaped how you grow businesses, how you grow teams, and how what growth looks like?
I think I've been lucky. I've had the two children, and both have been on the spectrum. But to see how, you know, to teach them to understand the other one, you know, so you know, the same way you're managing a team at work, you've got your children at home. And I think for me to say, you know, to point out, do you think your sister meant that, or do you think your brother wants to do that? So you ask questions. I laugh at the office when I started at Car Track. My one colleague said to me, he said, I have never met somebody that asks as many questions as you do.
Wow.
You ask questions, and it's an inside joke that I ask all these questions because I know the answer. I know the answer. I'm not asking the question because I don't know. I'm asking the question because the current answer is not good enough.
Oh, does
that make sense?
It absolutely makes sense.
The current answer is not good enough. So, for instance, something as basic as our company paperwork changed. So, email was sent out. The company documentation has changed. Okay. So now I go and I ask a question. When will we receive this email from the legal department? So I know the answer. The answer is that the paperwork didn't come from the legal department. So I know what the answer is.
Yeah.
But the answer isn't good enough. It's like
it's not comprehensive.
It's not good enough. The answer must be the legal department will send it out today. That's the answer I want.
There we go. The timeline.
The timeline. Yeah. So sometimes asking a question, it's not about. So in school they always said no question is a stupid question.
Yeah.
So you ask the questions. So with the children, we're coming back to your question, how do you grow a business? You ask questions. Because by asking a question, you're asking for advice, you're asking for ideas. You ask a question and different people will come with different perspectives, and from that, you build the best strategy. You don't just take one person's answer. You ask the same question different ways. You get different people's perspectives and answers, and then you go from there.
So less instructions, more of a questioning attitude. Yes. Because as you question, you get more. Yes. I literally love. I was not expecting what you said, but I love what you said about the fact that you are almost a facilitator with your kids. Yes. Do you think your sister meant that? So you're helping your children to understand each other, which is important in a family, whether you have neurodivergent children or you have neurotypicals. Yes. It's important to facilitate so that there's an understanding of different family members. Yes. And then you can kind of support and grow together from there. That's right. Something I haven't heard before. What an amazing perspective. I like how you have a wealth of experience and it comes through when you speak, and I can kind of hear it. And what's a plus is you're speaking as a neurodivergent yourself, a neurodivergent person, but also successful businesswoman who with wealth and years of experience in the business environment. And I'm thinking now, if businesses looked at neurodiversity, not just when they hire or in terms of their recruitment processes, but looking a little bit deeper into how the neurodivergents approach things. Yes. I'm curious whether how that will affect or how that will transform the organization itself. But I'm also curious as to whether do you believe that the customers will feel that as well?
Can I tell you what, Emma, with that last part, how do the customers feel? Because at the end of the day, sales is nothing without the customer.
Yeah.
So that's the first thing. The second thing is also, when we were younger, there was no such word as neurodiverse.
Yeah. No.
It was naughty and disruptive. Yeah. And those are how the children were labeled. They were labeled. Now it's more spoken about. There's much more education. I mean, I'm still learning today of how things works and how neurodiversity affects different people. But because it's more spoken about, and as I said, you speak to a client, and when you get to know that client, sometimes they'll say, "Oh, I need to take my child for therapy," or you'll see something on the customer's desk that indicates. And let me tell you, it's a connection point, because if you can speak about your experience with your children or about experience with neurodiverse colleagues, you sometimes find a touch point, because I don't want to be funny, we're all going through it.
Absolutely.
Everybody. Yeah. If you're not neurodiverse yourself, your child, a family member,
your colleagues.
Yeah. And if you can get that connection with somebody, we all, I'm going to say it, we're all battling, because you have to try harder. You're always feeling like you have to work harder. You have to do more
Yeah.
to cope or to be part of a team. But if you find that connection point in a colleague or in a
student,
customer
if
or
you're a
in a
teacher,
student, and that it gives you a kinship and it gives you a relationship, and at the end of the day, that is what drives you forward. Is that you
that
feel
connection.
that person feels accepted and not judged.
Yeah.
And you must be accepting and not judge.
And life becomes easier. That connections help smoothen things out, the engagements, and you might even get referrals from the customers as a business because of how you responded.
And the other thing, as I said, you learn. Somebody says, "Oh, I'll take my child to swim therapy." Swim therapy, what's that? And you learn about stuff that you didn't know about.
Ask questions.
Yes, ask questions. So you ask those questions. Yes.
This is amazing. So too often, businesses look at neurodiversity. Not too often, actually. I must correct myself. Sometimes we have a lot of businesses that are doing really well as far as their inclusivity policies, their recruitment policies around neurodiversity. But there are those that are still struggling, that are looking at neurodiversity as a tick the box thing. What is it that these business leaders are missing? What is one thing that you want to tell them that as far as not looking at neurodiversity as a tick the box exercise? What are they missing?
Emma, I don't... There's training at the office about ethics, and there's training at the office about systems and compliance, and you name it. But there isn't a training on neurodiversity. Do you understand? It's not like you say, it's not a subject yet that I feel that businesses train on and educate on, or even promote any type of information spread within the company. So I would say to business leaders is, number one, never stop reading and educating yourself. I mean, every day I learn more. So you can never say you know everything. Learn more. So you can't say you know everything. And you need to share that information. So there's definitely a space for education within the market, within corporate companies. So yes, I would say it's educate. You need to not just educate you as management, not just educate yourself, but there must be a plan to educate your staff.
Yeah, it's interesting the way you're putting it, because we had a radiographer who's in the medical space, working for a big medical organization or hospital. And she talked about, and in fact, we also had Kristen, one of our experts, who is an autism expert. And she talked about, she's now looking at projects where they are introducing neurodiversity as part of a module of some sort to qualify teachers. She's looking at University of Free State, she's also looking at UNISA, to say, as a teacher, you're not graduating to go teach a certain type of students. You're going to teach all types of students. So it should be a module. And it speaks to what you're saying in business. People should be trained. As much as they've been trained about ethics and compliance, they should get trained on neurodiversity. Yvette, when you look at the future, looking forward 5 or 10 years from now, what kind of future are you hoping to see? What kind of future are you hoping that your young adults or your children will step into?
I think looking at history, there's the word prejudice in all sectors of our lives. For us, when I say older generation, there's a prejudice against, it could be religion, color, culture. So I'm hoping going forward is that word disappears. That they're not judged because neurodiversity is seen as a negative thing. It must be celebrated for a strength.
Absolutely.
So that is what I hope for my children.
That's amazing, because they've got so much to give. I mean, we at Kids Innovate Africa have had the privilege of working with both of them. And there's quite a lot that I remember when, when I think of your children. Cameron preparing for leadership, and he says, I'm preparing for legacy. So listen to my speech. This is what I'm going to do. I want to make sure when I leave the school, I leave the school with good programs
Yes.
that they can look back.
Yes,
and,
yes.
which is leadership,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Why would you want to constrain such a brilliant mind into a box?
100%.
So you're absolutely right about the future that you're talking about. Wow, Yvette, before I close, is there any way that people can follow you, get in touch with you? Because you have a wealth of experience, and I think businesses should be reaching out to have you talk to them. I'm sure you probably do that already, to their sales teams, to their business development teams, about embracing neurodiversity as an asset. How do people get in touch with you? Are you on LinkedIn?
I'm on LinkedIn.
Okay.
I've made a concerted effort to up my LinkedIn profile, and I spoke briefly earlier about the talk I gave at we did in 𝐶ETA, a training session for, and not a presentation, to over 500 school children.
Wow.
You know, for careers in the insurance industry. And we were just chatting to them, and I was looking at, it was 500 little faces in front of me, and I just take my hat off to the brave souls that came up and asked questions. You know, because you have to stand up in front of your friends and come and ask the question. And I would love to touch those lives, you know, like share information with them. But yes, I'm reachable on my LinkedIn account. My daughter says I'm old because I'm still on Facebook.
What? We're also still on Facebook. We're also still on Facebook.
I'm on the Ox Wagon in Facebook, but you can reach me on LinkedIn.
Absolutely. And as you had, if you have a school and you need somebody to talk to, definitely if you need somebody to talk to the youngsters about careers in insurance industry, she's available. Go connect with her on LinkedIn, connect with her as well on Facebook. In closing, I want to thank you, Yvette, so much for being so generous.
Thank you
for sharing your wealth of experience and knowledge with the parents, but also the business leaders that are listening and engaging with this important insight today. You have literally just shown us that neurodiversity is not just about inclusion. It's about innovation. It's about trust and building a world where diverse or different, the difference drive growth. To our listeners, maybe you've noticed a strength in your workplace, in your family, or even in yourself that others overlook. What if that strength is the very thing that could change everything? That's the power of reframing, and that's the gift of neurodiversity thinking. Thanks for being with us today. Please follow, like, and share. This is Beyond the Box. Good night.